The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 254. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on today. She is the Chief Fun Officer of Living Exceptionally Inc. She is also the Chief Operating Officer of Digital Altitude, and I'm just really excited to have her on and share her story and tips on self-confidence. So without further ado, I just want to introduce you to Mary D. Mary, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Sheena. Again, my name's Mary D. It's great to be here, and thank you all for being here today. I have been consulting businesses, big and small, since about 2000. And as Sheena said, I am the Chief Fun Officer of Living Exceptionally Incorporated. That is my company. It's been my firm for a few years now, and I help many businesses under that umbrella. But more recently, have taken on the role of as Chief Operating Officer for a online marketing company called Digital Altitude. And I'm excited about that opportunity. I've been, my specialty is actually in business startups for the private sector. I've got a lot of great hobbies. For those of you that are interested, obviously you can pop me into Google or get with me afterwards and see more about who I am and what I do. But overall, I'm just a fun-loving entrepreneur, Sheena. Love to travel. I've got a great husband of 8 years, a couple of furry babies. No two-legged babies, just four-legged ones. And I'm pretty adventurous. I'll try anything twice. So that's more about me.
Awesome, and thanks for sharing that. And I love how you call yourself the Chief Fun Officer, just because, business should be fun, right? If you're not having fun, then for me, it's like, what's the point?
Exactly.
So thanks for sharing that. And Mary, what's your cultural background?
That's a great question. I get that a lot. I've been accused of being lots of things, but truly, I am Asian American. My mom is actually Thai, and I have a lot of Thai heritage. I was raised in a Thai household, and my dad is American. He was an English-Irish mix, and so I'm a little bit of a mutt. But yeah, when people ask me, I typically tell them I'm Thai, but I am actually half.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
The one that I always come back to, I have quite a few, and anyone that's seen any of my, media pages will see that I actually do the quote thing quite a bit, and I like them for affirmation purposes. But mine is, if you think you can or think you can't, either way, you're right. Because I definitely believe that, psychologists say that the brain wants to be right. And so the way we speak to ourselves and the things that we believe about our self-beliefs, they basically are self-fulfilling prophecies, or they can be anyway. So I really believe in whether you think you can or you can't, you're going to be right either way. And so it's really important for people to have that positive self-thinking of that they can, because anything is possible.
I love that quote, and it's so true, right? I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I was watching this cartoon, and it was about like this train thinking that he couldn't. But, in his head, he kept on saying, I think I can, until he kind of like went to the top of the mountain. And, it applies in life so many times because there's so many people out there who feel like they can't do half the things that they probably can do. It's just all in their heads. It's all about, how you think and not realizing that, you can change that thinking in an instant. So, great quote that you mentioned here. And, Mary, in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
That's a really good question. I definitely think that is a personal definition for every person. And I know for myself, I have to go with really loving and accepting yourself, flaws and all. And even where you're not feeling very loving or accepting of yourself, is still making it in such a way that no one can tell the difference on whether you're feeling like you're loving yourself today or not. So part of it is, I definitely believe in being authentic and being real. And I know that we don't feel, perfect about ourselves all the time. But the way we carry ourselves is an overall energy about, who we are or how we feel about ourselves. So I think that being self-confident is just having a really good, deep foundation of love and acceptance for yourself, and in understanding that we are all perfectly flawed.
I love it. I think a lot of women feel like they can't be flawed. And that's why they struggle with loving themselves. They can't appreciate, the ups and downs, the strengths and the flaws, not realizing that we have to love all of us because, that's what's going to make us a better person and stronger and more powerful. So, I really love that definition that you mentioned. And Mary, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
A lot of my self-confidence issues, when in the past anyway, came around, had to do about my weight and my appearance. As a young lady, I developed very quickly. So I actually had the body of a woman, by seventh grade. I remember walking up to first day of class, and one of my classmates walked up thinking I was the teacher. I just was very, I had just developed quickly. And for me, I can look back and go, oh my gosh, that must have been tough on the boys in school because here I look like a woman, But at the time, all I did was look around and I said, oh, but I don't look like the rest of the girls. I didn't go through some awkward, super skinny phase and then became, a beautiful swan. Like that didn't happen. So even though in my own mind, it definitely had to do with I'm bigger than these girls. I'm curvy. I'm shaped differently. And for me, that felt like, my weight is a factor. My appearance is a factor. And what I really did is I resisted affection from people who cared about me. And these were the stories I was telling myself in my own mind, but looking back on it from a different perspective, I can see that it wasn't the case. And when I say I resisted affection, what I mean by that is I very distinctly remember having had a boyfriend for about 4 years in school. And I remember he would like to put his hand around my waist. And I always removed his hand. It just made me uncomfortable because I always felt like, what if he feels a little of my muffin top? That's instead of embracing the affection, I was so worried about what, that I thought he was going to feel something and suddenly love me less. But that was never the case. So it was an interesting thing to me to reflect on that and look back and go, gosh, I really, for the affections that, we as people need on an intimate level, I really denied myself of something that was just it's an act of love and affection from someone, which is what most of us desire to have. But because of my own, lack of self-confidence in that area, I buffered it. So I'd say that was probably one of the things I look back on and see that was definitely one of the things that I robbed myself of when I wasn't feeling self-confident.
Thanks for sharing that. And, I think that's something a lot of women, especially Asian women, feel like if we don't look a certain way, it's like something's wrong with us, right? I mean, I remember I moved to Canada when I was younger, and I remember I didn't have blonde hair. I wanted to change my name to something more American or Canadian because it's like, Sheena, what a weird name. But these are things that we all go through because it's like, if we don't look American, something's wrong with us. We're not considered beautiful. And, the media also plays a big role in that because back then you see ads on the magazine, you just see the perfect, the image of a perfect woman is someone who has blonde hair and blue eyes and stuff. And it's like, how do you compete with that when you have black hair and black eyes and they're squinty?
Right.
So, but now when you learn to love yourself, you learn to appreciate everything about yourself. And what was that moment in your life when you realized, you were amazing, you had that confidence inside you? What was that? Yeah. What was that aha moment?
Ooh, gosh. I have to give my mom some props because she did a really good job of being that mom that always was like, you can do anything you want and you can be anything you want. So I feel like from a internal perspective that she planted those seeds in me when I was young. But when I go back to the story that I shared with you about being a little insecure about how I look and who I am, and the fact that, like the question you asked in the beginning when you asked about, can you talk to me about your ethnicity? It's funny because, like I said, because I am actually half Asian and half American, people tend to they decide what they think I am. I'm often labeled as being Hawaiian or Filipino or Hispanic. And it's just funny to me what people's perceptions are. And so I think I had very much of a lack of identity in that way, and that no one really thought I was anything in particular, or they did specifically think I was something, and they were way off. So what I would say my aha moment must have been was probably post-divorce. I got married really, really young in my early 20s, and it didn't last very long. And at that point, I had never really dated a lot. Every boyfriend I'd had for a pretty long time. So I just started dating in what I would say is the real world. And I had no idea what to expect. And especially in Los Angeles, it's a big city. And like you said, the social pressure is on. Like everyone is tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, beautiful shape. And I'm just going, wow, I don't look anything like those girls. So I didn't know what to expect. I really thought I was going to get online and post a dating profile up and just start to pick through, pictures of guys and hope that they would find me attractive and want to talk to me. But what I got was completely unexpected. I posted like my own expectations, a nice little bio, and of course, recent photos because I didn't want to trick anyone. I didn't want to post, pictures of me 10 years ago when I was looking a little bit thinner or whatever, and then have them show up and go, oh, this isn't what I bargained for. So I was very honest with my profile. And what I ended up finding is that all of a sudden I was getting a flood of contact requests from very good looking men and men who were successful and men who were actually exactly what I wanted to attract. And they were coming to me, banging on my door, hoping that I would go out with them. And so that for me was a huge aha moment because it wasn't what I expected at all. And it pleasantly surprised me. And my self-esteem from that moment just grew enormously because my perspective of even myself changed because I was getting suddenly social proof basically for myself that said, hey, you are attractive to men who are successful and attractive as well. And that was a nice just sort of, proof for me that it was real. And I had to say that's probably one of them. And another one was I was at a party with some guys that I'd gone to school with. And they were sitting around and we were just talking about our experience and we were laughing about old times. And I was thinking through just some of the insecurities that all of us, girls and boys, have, especially during that time in our life. But the way the guys were talking, they were talking with such adoration and respect because they were like, and the way they described me was as if the reason they never approached me was because to them I was unattainable. Whereas when I go flashback in school, I was like, gosh, what is wrong with me? Like, why some of these guys, I like them, but I, wouldn't say anything. And it's because I thought they were looking elsewhere. Because again, I didn't fit the status quo, that blonde hair, blue eye look that I think gets sort of ingrained in us when we're younger. So it was funny to hear their point of view. And then I had a good laugh at myself. And I said, wow, it's so funny because the things we say to ourselves in our own mind, sometimes they're just not true. When our perspective is so limited or we see through our own funnel, then we are only seeing what we're perceiving in our own minds, which isn't necessarily what's actually going on. And so that was probably, I'd say those two things were pretty big turning points for me, just from the way I looked at myself from a physical level, just looking at my appearance and how I felt about myself. That really changed things for me. I said, wow, I am beautiful in my own way. And that's able to come through. So these people aren't going to be hung up on it, then I'm not going to be hung up on it.
Awesome. I love, the stories that you shared for your aha moments because, I know women, they get so focused on how they look, like they forget, like, if you learn how to just carry yourself and work on your mindset and just work on yourself, like you will attract the right things and the right people into your life.
That's right.
And sometimes it is surprising, right? You just, these people just come up out of nowhere and you're like, how do they even know me? And it's like, it's like you said, it's this pleasant surprise. And, with those realizations, what's your life been like now?
Oh gosh, I would have to say that I am definitely even more free and definitely more affectionate. I don't let those I'm not that girl who hides under the covers anymore. My husband laughs at me all the time because he's like, honey, if one of the neighbors happens to pop by, you realize you're like walking around naked, right? And then I laugh at him and I'm like, well, they probably won't come over unexpected or without calling first the next time then. But it's just like that level of freedom because I remember a time where I was the girl who hid under the covers because I didn't think that I was perfect and I wasn't happy completely with my body. And it doesn't mean that I still don't, work out and try to eat right so that I can continue to be healthy. But my focus has changed. It's not so much about, how great can I look in terms of can I get skinnier or can I do this? I'm so over that at this point in my life. I've just really embraced myself. My husband is great. I know he's here to stay. He's not going anywhere. And it allows me to just be free with myself, with my body, with any perceptions. If I wear clothes that I want to wear, and obviously people do judge us on our image. I think that's a given. However, at the same rate, I know that people who are going to take the time to get to know me, and people who love me for me, and they don't care about what I'm wearing or how it really looks or if I'm too fat or too skinny at any given moment, whether I'm wearing makeup or not. So I really try not to get hung up on any of those things. And I think that it's made me less inhibited and way more affectionate. And I don't worry about the scale. I just worry about procuring those friendships and relationships that are based on things that are so much more than appearance. But unfortunately, appearance, of course, ties into our self-confidence a lot of times. So it's just remembering that it all comes down to being who you are and letting people love you for who you are, fat, skinny, pimply or not, whatever the flaw is that people think they have.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And, it's great that I can see it too. Like when I see your pictures on Facebook, it's just like you just have this confidence that you carry and it kind of overflows. So, it's really great that you're able to be who you are. And it's like the most freest thing in the world, right? Just to break free out of like a mask we've pulled up for like the longest time.
That's right.
So, that's really great. And Mary, if our listeners wanted to connect with you or get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Sure. They can go to marydee.net. That's just my name, MARYDEE.net. And there's some info on me there. They can connect with me there. They can reach out to me there. And I've got a lot of great stuff coming down the pipeline. So if they want to subscribe or be on my list, they can do that there as well. And I appreciate you too, Sheena. Thanks for having me on today.
It was awesome having you on. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Mary, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Mary's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I just want to thank Mary again for taking the time to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. Thanks so much, Mary.
Thank you, Sheena. Appreciate you.
It was an honor. To our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence, and we'll talk to you later. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of the Tao of Self-Confidence. Sign up for our free membership site to get more amazing resources for self-confidence by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.